Hey guys, so we're working on Saturday on Luke's truck. Day 3. Yeah, day 3. So I'm working on rewiring all the battery stuff. We're gonna get the starter in there, but I'm redoing a bunch of battery cables because the crimper tool that he was using is not up to my standard. I'm not sure what crimper tool he was using. I'll get him to bring it down here so we can look at it, because it's an interesting, it looks like it should be good, but you could pull them out relatively easy. So when they get hot, they just fall out, and would be a bad deal. Hard on ECMs and such. Jason is working on taking the interior out. Not that it was very hard because it was mostly out anyway. But we got to pull the carpet out of it so that we can fix that big Jesus hole there, right there. You probably can't see it for the light, but in the floor. And then a bunch of the wiring we're going to bring into the cab so that it's not running underneath the truck. And then we have to work with this. We have to deal with that. So that's what we're working on. I'm gonna set this thing up in time lapse so you guys can see what's going on, and yeah, catch you in a bit. All right guys, we're gonna build some battery cables. I'm gonna show you how I usually do this. I am gonna do a separate video on doing this as well for you guys that are interested. I will do a separate video. I'm just gonna do this one quick, show you guys how I did it. I already did this end, but I needed to shorten, or I needed to cut this so we have a good ground. I usually use, you can use all kinds of different stuff. I usually just use the grinder. You can use, I just like it because it gets nice and, well, nice and straight, relatively straight, but it doesn't like get a bunch of fingers off of it, kind of idea. For you guys that have cut before, you understand what I'm saying. And connectors in my pocket. All right, now that I found the end, this is the crimp end we're putting on. Need an alpha knife or a razor or a knife of some sort. I guess it doesn't have to be. What I do is the length of this piece here. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. This length. I take that and then I'll add just a little bit. I want a little space in between it, and you'll see why in a minute. You don't have to do it this way. Obviously, lots of people don't do it this way. This is just the way that I have found the best over the years, how I like doing it. So, oh yeah, you guys can see good. So connector, and what I do is I take some solder. I personally don't like just to solder these on, and I'll show you in that video that I do why that is. So stay tuned. Well, for you guys that watch all the time, or if you're just watching this video and you want to know why, then you'll see on there. When I do the video, what I'll do actually is I'll put a link in the description of that video. So just a little bit of solder down the bottom. Make sure you get all your ends to go in there so you don't end up with a bunch of extras. Turn it in there. If you shove and turn at the same time, you'll get it to go in there as far as possible. Now, taking something you want to do is where you crimp this on. If that makes a difference, you want to kind of pay attention. So usually if it makes a difference, it doesn't on this one because I can move it around. But usually what I'll do is I'll actually put a line on the wire, how I want it to face. So I know this one is going to face like this on there. It comes down through the bed floor and then it's going to bolt up. So actually, let's turn this like that, because that's how it's going to go basically in there, kind of idea. So put that on. Now this is a tool I actually just bought. First time I ever used it was on that first one, and it's actually kind of neat. Wasn't that expensive. I'll put a link down in the description for it. I bought it off Amazon. But it's a hydraulic crimping tool. There again in that video I'll show a couple different methods of doing it, so you can do it different ways. If I had a vise right here, this would be a lot easier with a vise. You just crimp it until they touch. Let her off. And it does a pretty nice job of crimping. Like, it looks nice. And it won't pull off. I'm sure if you reefed on it hard enough, it probably would, but that's the reason that I do next step. So the next step for me would be really nice if I had a vise right here, but I don't. Actually, what we'll do is just do this. I'll move you guys back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to take the torch, we're going to heat this fitting up a bit, or this connector. And to start with, I want the fitting to be, or the eyelet to be like this. So when we get it hot enough, the solder that we put in there is going to run into the end of the cable inside there. Usually you can tell this is hot enough because you'll get a discoloration on it. And then you'll also smell the solder too. So that's probably hot enough to leave that rolling. And then what I do is I take this small solder and I'll run a bunch of it in there. Lock that inside there. A little more fire on it, it's cooling off on us. Put the fire out. I know lots of guys do just crimp these things, don't ever have a problem. I've had problems with them, so when they get older, this bigger wire will go in there. You get the solder to go all the way around. And the reason that I like to solder them after I crimp it, 2 reasons: it holds it in there better. Second reason is that it also keeps the corrosion down as well. So that's a nice feature. And then we're gonna put a little piece of heat shrink on it. Don't need too much. There again, just to keep corrosion out. And this stuff is not cheap nowadays. There we are. Battery cable installed. And this is double wall heat shrink. It's not cheap stuff, but yeah, I think this case was like $80 or something, and it only came with 2 of the big pieces, so I'm gonna have to borrow some more of that because we don't have enough. But this stuff does shrink an astronomical amount, so that's a nice feature of it. But you know, buy the good stuff, you get the good stuff. So we got that figured out, battery cable fixed. All we gotta do is make 10 more. So let's get after it. got finished working on the truck for the day. We got a bit of stuff done. It doesn't feel like we got lots done, but we did get some stuff done. I got some wiring figured out. Jason got the exhaust figured out. We don't have the exhaust in there right now because we're getting a muffler for it. So I moved the bulkhead back here. So the wiring, this main power wire, is just gonna go here to here, and then we're gonna run all the wiring inside the cab. Train lines we can't deal with. Luke is ordering some stuff for that. We got the downpipe figured out. Yes, we did use some, it's not all stainless. We're working with what we got here. So we got that figured out, so that's cool. I fixed the battery cables as you guys seen earlier. Set this thing down. So we got the interior all pulled out, the carpet and everything. I think Luke wanted to leave the carpet out for now. We got a bunch of holes. You guys can really see the holes right now. We got a bunch of holes that we have to fill. That's not a huge deal. And I'll go over to the other side. So there's that bulkhead. The wiring is gonna run in here. So we got the floor kind of shored up a bit. We got to figure that out. So we got to make a patch for that. I think we're going to make that actually removable. So we're going to be able to frame around the outside and then it'll get screwed in there. Probably, I don't know how we'll screw it, whatever, doesn't matter. We'll get that so it's removable because some of the stuff's a little easier to get at right there. So I think we'll leave it removable for now. And like I said, we got like, there's holes here, holes over there. All those holes have to be patched up. The Holly and some of the wiring kind of figured out where we're gonna go with it. And I got the mount made for the Holly. Just not super fancy, but it's just bent out of sheet metal. I put some dimple dies in it just to give it some more rigidity so it doesn't move around. A little sturdier, and it kind of looks cool. And I don't think we didn't do anything else under the hood. I don't think. Like I said, it doesn't look like we got a lot done, but we actually got a bunch done. So I'm happy with that for today. Obviously I would have liked to get more done, but you know how that is. So that'll be it for this one. Like, subscribe, hit me down in the comments, and remember, it's not rocket science.